Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. Today's crochet tutorial is for the Daisy water bottle holder. It's spring, it's summer, everyone wants to get out of the house, maybe take a hike, go for a walk, and you always like to have that nice cold bottle of water with you. So this is a great way. You just put it right over your body, around your neck, it goes across your body, and it lays at your hip. It stays out of the way, and it's a great way to take your water along when you want to go for a walk or a hike. Now, the two Daisy water bottle covers that you're seeing, I use the splash colors, but if you don't want to use those splash colors, you can use a solid color, you can use the splash colors, or you can use whatever color you wish. So let me tell you everything you're going to need to make this project today. For our project today, I am using the Premier Home Cotton. Now the splash colors and the multicolors come with a little less yardage. The splash color that I'm using today comes in a 96 yard skein, 88 meters, 1.94 ounces, and 55 grams. It's 85% recycled cotton, 15% polyester, and the 15% polyester helps keep the colors stay brighter longer. Now this is classified as a medium number 4 weight yarn. It is machine washable and tumble dry low heat. Now they have many beautiful colors available in the Premier Home Cotton, and I just decided to use the Violet Splash. This is color 44-23, and you're going to need 2 skeins of a main color for the actual water bottle cover. So let me show you a couple other colors of the splash. I just love these splash colors. They also have this beautiful pink called Flamingo Splash. This is color 44-24. They have this beautiful blue splash, and this is color 4427 Ocean Splash. They have this beautiful yellow splash, and this is Sunshine Splash, color 44-65. The last one that I have in stock here in my studio is the Tangerine Splash, number 44-25. And all of these would look beautiful, as well as maybe you want a solid color. And I'll put a link directly to the Premier Home Cotton in the description box underneath the video. Click that link and you can view all the beautiful colors that Premier has to offer. So again, you need 2 skeins of a main color for the actual water bottle holder, and all these colors would look beautiful with that daisy. You're going to need about a ½ ounce of white. This is color 38-01 white. You're going to need about 10 yards of the sunflower yellow. This is color 38-20. So you're probably going to need less than that, but I'm saying 10 yards just to make sure you have enough. Then you're going to need 15 yards, maybe a little less, of the sage green. This is color 38-15. And if you prefer a different color green, you can do that as well. You can choose a brighter green, a darker green, whatever color you want for your leaf. So let's review your materials again. You're going to need 2 skeins of whichever color you wish for the main part of your bottle holder. Then you're going to need a ½ ounce of white, color 38-01, 10 yards of the sunflower yellow, color 38-20, and you're going to need 15 yards of the sage green, number 3815. You're also going to need a size H8 or 5mm crochet hook. You're also going to need a size I9 or 5.5mm crochet hook. And you're going to need a yarn needle. So grab your yarn, grab your hook, and let's get our project started. To begin our project, I already have my yarn attached to my hook, and I just used a double knot. You can use whichever method you prefer to join your yarn to your hook. Now I want to remind everyone all my crochet tutorials are filmed using USA crochet terms. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 4. You're going to yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and this creates your first chain. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. This beginning chain 4 will count as our first double crochet, and then we work our stitches into the 4th chain from hook. For round 1, we're going to work 11 double crochet into the 4th chain from hook. You're going to yarn over, skip 1, 2, 3 chains, insert into the 4th chain, and you're going to work 11 double crochet. Yarn over, pull back through. You have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. You just made a double crochet. That is 1 of 11. Double crochet back into that same chain. All of our stitches are going into the same chain, and as you work these stitches, that chain does open up. That is 2 of 11. Double crochet back into that same chain. That is 3 of 11. Double crochet back into that same chain. That is 4 of 11. So now you're going to continue and work 7 more double crochet all into that same chain, and I'll meet you at the end of round 1. I'm over at the end of round 1. You have your beginning chain 3, and then you worked 11 double crochet around, and counting the beginning chain 3, you're going to have 12 stitches around. Now we're going to go ahead and join our round. You're going to count up to the top of that beginning chain 3, count up 1, 2, 3, insert into that top chain, and then yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 1 is finished. Now we're ready to begin round 2. Now round 2, we're going to start with the chain 2. Now this beginning chain 2 does not count as a stitch. We're going to work 2 double crochet in each stitch around. Yarn over, insert into that same joining stitch, and work 2 double crochet. 1, insert back into that same stitch and work your second double crochet, and 2. So when you look at your work, you're going to have your beginning chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, and 2 double crochet all into that joining stitch. Now we're going to go ahead and work 2 double crochet in each stitch around. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, and you're going under the top 2 loops, work 2 double crochet. 1, and 2. Go to your next stitch, work 2 double crochet into the top of that next stitch. 1, and 2. Go to the next stitch and work 2 double crochet into the top of that stitch. 1, and 2. So go ahead and continue and work 2 double crochet in each stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 2. I'm over at the end of round 2. You should have a beginning chain 2, 2 double crochet in each stitch for a total of 24 double crochet and a chain 2. Now the reason I use this chain 2 is I do not like a gap when I join my work, so this just helps fill in that gap, but it doesn't count as a stitch. So we're going to join and we're going to skip the beginning chain 2, and you want to come over here to the first double crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops, slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook, and you can see how that chain 2 fills in that gap, just makes a prettier look to your work. So now we're ready to begin round 3. Now round 3 is the round that's going to determine the diameter of the water bottle. So here is a 16.9 ounce water bottle. So when I do my single crochet, it's going to be the perfect size to go around this container. So this is the size I use most often, so that's why I'm making it for this size. Now we're ready to begin round 3. Round 3, we're going to do a simple single crochet round. You're going to chain 1. You're going to skip this chain 2 that did not count as a stitch, and you're going to go right into that first double crochet, insert your hook, yarn over, pull back through. You have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You just made a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 3. I'm over at the end of round 3. I worked 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and now I'm back over to my beginning single crochet. To join, we're going to join into the back loop of this first single crochet stitch. So again, you skip the joining bar, skip the beginning chain 1, and insert into the back loop. And if you want to, you can go under that second loop as well, just to have a nice firm grip on your work. Yarn over, pull through that back loop, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 3 is finished. Now we're ready to begin round 4. Now round 4, we're going to be working into the back loop and the loop directly below. You're going to chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet into the back loop, and then you're going to go into the loop directly below. So you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 back loops, yarn over and pull through. You just made your single crochet. Yarn over, go to your next stitch, insert into the back loop, then into the loop directly below, work your double crochet. Now we're ready to begin our repeat. Now the reason we're going into both of those loops is because if you just go in the back loop, you can see how that pulls up. Not very good for securing and keeping this nice and sturdy for a heavy bottle of water. So when you grab both loops, you can see that it's really hard to pull up. It really keeps that nice and secure. So that's why we're using both loops. You're going to insert into the next stitch, going into the back loop, the loop directly below, work a single crochet. Double crochet into the next stitch, going into the back loop, then grabbing that loop below, work your double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Go to your next stitch, insert into the back loop and the loop directly below, work a single crochet. Double crochet into the back loop of the next stitch, and then go into the loop directly below, work your double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it one more time together. Go to your next stitch, insert into the back loop, then the loop directly below, work a single crochet. Then you're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch, going into the back loop and the loop directly below, work your double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue, single crochet into the back loop and the loop directly below in the next stitch, and then double crochet into the back loop and the loop directly below in the next stitch. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 4. I'm over at the end of round 4. Now your work is going to try to have a dome shape. That's going to be normal because we're starting to make the project to where it has the even ends and work up the sides. So this is the start of our sides, and this will have a little bit of a curved look to it. So when you get to the end of round 4, you're going to end with a double crochet into that last stitch. And then you're going to come over, and again, this is your joining bar. This is not a stitch. So when you count your stitches, you should have a total of 24 stitches with each round throughout the rest of this project. So again, you're ending with a double crochet. This is your joining bar. This is your beginning chain 1, and this is the beginning single crochet. So we're going to slip stitch in the top of this beginning single crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops of that beginning single crochet, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 4 is finished. So now we're going to begin our repeat rounds. Now round 5 and 6 will be the repeat rounds for the pattern for this water bottle holder. So we're going to begin, and we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and this beginning chain 2 does not count as a stitch. You're going to double crochet back into that same joining stitch, and you'll notice that we're double crocheting in the single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet into the double crochet. Now you're going to single crochet into the next stitch, and now we're ready to begin our repeat. If you look at this pattern, you're going to see a single crochet, a double crochet. So when we work around, we're working a double crochet into the single crochet and a single crochet into the double crochet. So let's go ahead and start our repeat. You're going to double crochet into the top of the next single crochet stitch, and then single crochet in the top of the next double crochet stitch. And you'll notice the double crochet is a longer stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Let's do it one more time. Double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead and continue, double crochet into the next stitch and single crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 5. I'm over at the end of round 5. This is what your work should look like. You're ending with a single crochet into that last double crochet stitch, and then you're going to see your joining bar. You're going to see that beginning chain 2, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to join in the top of that beginning double crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 5 is finished. And now we're ready to begin round 6. For round 6, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet into the top of this joining double crochet stitch. Insert under the top 2 loops, work a single crochet. And again, when you're working this pattern, you'll notice we're working a single crochet in the double crochet, and we're going to work a double crochet into the single crochet. Go to your next stitch, work a double crochet into the top of that stitch, and then we're going to start our repeat. Single crochet into the next stitch and double crochet into the next stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Single crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead and continue. You're going to single crochet into the next stitch, which is a double crochet, and then double crochet into the next stitch, which is a single crochet. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 6. I'm over at the end of round 6. I ended with a double crochet into that last single crochet. Again, your stitch count is going to be 24 stitches in each round. And then you're going to notice that we worked in the last stitch. This is your joining bar. We're going to skip the joining bar. We're going to skip that beginning chain 1, and we're going to insert under the top 2 loops of that first single crochet stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 6 is finished. So now to continue working on your project, you're going to repeat rounds 5 and 6 6 more times. You'll be at the end of round 18, and again your stitch count will remain 24 stitches around. If you need additional help, just click back on the video, begin at the beginning of round 5, work rounds 5 and 6 more times, and I'll meet you at the end of round 18. I'm now over at the end of round 18. This is what your work is going to look like. And now we're going to go ahead and join. We ended with a double crochet into the last stitch, and then you're going to see your joining bar, the beginning chain 2 that does not count as a stitch, and we're going to join in the top of that first double crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 18 is finished. So now for round 19, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Insert into that same joining stitch, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 19. I'm over at the end of round 19. This is what your bottle holder is going to look like. I just worked in my last stitch, and then you're going to have your joining seam, because this chain 2 did not count as a stitch. So make sure you're not putting a stitch in that joining bar. We're going to skip the beginning chain 1, insert into the top of that first single crochet under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So I am going to go ahead and fasten off my purple. So when I fasten off, I like to leave that longer length so I can weave it in. So I'm just going to cut that. Now I see I have a knot here, so I'm just going to cut on the other side of that knot. I chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, and pull down. So now, because I'm going to put a white flower on my bottle holder, now you don't have to put a flower on this. You can leave it plain, but if you're going to accent it, then it's nice if you use an accent color across the top. So I'm going to use white because I'm going to put a white flower on my bottle holder. So I have my white attached to my hook, and I'm going up to where we fastened off, and I'm just going to go into that very first joining stitch. So I like to go behind the knot right in the top of that stitch right there. I'm going to insert, and it may be tight because of that knot. I'm going to yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on my hook. And then I'm just going to make sure that my 2 ends are in the back. And again, I always like that longer length because when you use a yarn needle, you need to have a little bit of length to that yarn. We're going to begin, and we're going to chain 1. We're going to insert back into that joining stitch and work a single crochet. And then we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So this is part of that joining stitch. So we're going into the next stitch under the top 2 loops, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and you're going to have the same stitch count of 24 stitches. I'll meet you at the end of round 20. I'm over at the end of round 20. Now again, you're going to have that joining bar. So if you're not sure if this is the joining bar or the last stitch, then it's best to do a stitch count. There's only 24 stitches around, so very quickly you can count your stitches. Make sure that you have a total of 24 stitches. When you get to the end of the round, you're going to have your joining bar, and then you're going to have your beginning chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and then we're going over into the top of that first single crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 20 is finished. Now we're just going to repeat round 20 one more time. For round 21, you're going to chain 1, you're going to single crochet into that joining stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around until you have 24 single crochets, and I'll meet you at the end of round 21. I'm over at the end of round 21. You should have 24 stitches around, and now we're going to join. So again, when you look at your work, this is a joining bar and not a stitch. You're going to skip the joining bar, skip the beginning chain 1, insert under the top 2 loops of that first single crochet stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So I am done with my white, so I'm going to fasten off. Again, I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, and pull down. So we have one more round to go on the main part, and then we're going to start our strap. So we're going to switch back to our purple and do the last round in purple. So I have my purple attached to my hook, and I'm going to go back where I fastened off, and we're going to begin round 22. We're going to insert right into our first stitch where we have our knot. I'm going on the other side of it. I slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. We're going to chain 1. You're going to insert back into that same stitch, work a single crochet. You're going to go to the next stitch. Remember, this is part of the beginning stitch. You're going to go to the next stitch. You're going to single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 24 single crochet, and I'll meet you at the end of round 22. I'm over at the end of round 22. I have 24 stitches around, and we're going to join in the top of that beginning single crochet. You're going to skip that beginning chain 1, insert into the top of that first single crochet under the top 2 loops, slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So now we're ready to begin our strap. Now we have 24 stitches around, so we're going to work across 6 stitches for the strap, and then we'll attach it to the other side, matching 6 stitches over here, and you'll have 6 unworked stitches on each side of the strap. So let's go ahead and begin working our strap. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 1. You're going to single crochet back into that joining stitch. That is 1 of 6 stitches. Single crochet into the next stitch. That's 2. Single crochet into the next stitch. That's 3. Single crochet into the next stitch. That's 4. Single crochet into the next stitch. That's 5. And then single crochet into the next stitch, and that's 6. So we have our 6 single crochet made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to begin working in rows. We're going to leave all these remaining stitches unworked, and we're going to begin row 24. You're going to chain 1, and you're going to turn your work. You're going to skip the beginning chain 1, insert into the first single crochet, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch, and we're just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch across. And then into the last stitch, insert your hook and work a single crochet. Now if you're new to crocheting and you have trouble with your ends, put a stitch marker into the first stitch and the last stitch across. So now what you're going to do is you're going to repeat row 24. You're going to chain 1 and work 1 single crochet in each of the 6 stitches. You're going to do that until you have 112 rows. So you can put a stitch marker in this first row so you know that's row 1, and then maybe mark every 10th row to make it easier to count. So I am working 112 rows total for my strap, or you can make it to the length you want to cross over your body. So if you're a shorter person, you may not want your strap as long. If you're a taller person, you may want to increase your strap. Once you get your strap to the length you think you want it, just take the end and safety pin it to the other side. Try it over your head, see how it lays across your body, and see if you need to make any adjustments. So again, to continue working on your strap, put a stitch marker in this first row, continue working row 24, working 1 single crochet in each stitch across until you have 112 rows made. I'm over at the end of row 112. We started our strap, and this is the first row. This is where we start counting our rows. That's 1. And then you worked across 6 stitches, chained 1, worked across 6 stitches, and you made a total of 112 rows, or to your desired length. So now, since all my rows are done, I'm going to fasten off, but we want to leave enough yarn for a sewing length. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, and 3. So I rather have plenty of yarn than not enough. So when I fasten off, I chain 2, 1, 2, pull your hook up, yarn out, and again, make sure it's long enough. Grab a hold of your yarn, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So now you're going to grab a yarn needle. We're going to sew this to our bottle holder. So go ahead, grab your yarn needle, and I'll be back and show you how to attach your strap. So I have my yarn, my sewing length attached to my yarn needle, and this is where we fastened off and left that longer length. So now what we're going to do is there's 24 stitches around. We worked in 6, so we're going to skip 6 stitches, come up, and I put a stitch marker into that 7th stitch because we're going to start at the 7th stitch and sew these 6 stitches to these 6 stitches. So again, you have 24 stitches, so we worked in 6. We're skipping 6, sewing the end 6 stitches to the next 6 stitches, and then you're going to have 6 stitches left. So what I usually do is I just line up the end of the strap, make sure there is no twist in your strap. You don't want to have to rip this out. Make sure it's straight, and then line up the first stitch with your stitch marker. And then what I like to do is I like to flip the right side of the strap that's butted up against that first stitch. I just like to flip it over, and then I'm going to just match up that stitch, and then I start on the wrong side on the inside, and then I bring it through that stitch. And I'm just going to whip stitch this across, and I'm matching stitches across. Then I go into the second stitch, bring it out through the front. Then I go back and I find the next stitch, bring it out through the matching stitch in front. And we just repeat that across until we sewed all 6 of the stitches together, going through both thicknesses. Then what I like to do is I go back into that end stitch, I bring it through the front, and then I wait until I have almost the whole string pulled through and there's a loop. And then I just take my yarn needle through that loop, and it kind of acts as a knot to really help secure those ends. And then what I do is I just go ahead and I sew back over, just going in the opposite direction, matching those stitches across. And this just puts a nice secure join, because the cotton yarn does like to stretch, and the weight of a full bottle of water, you really want to make sure this is secure. So now, since I'm back over to the last stitch, again, I'm going to wait until I have it almost pulled through, make a loop, and then take my hook through that loop and then pull tight. And then open it up, and on the wrong side, go ahead and take your yarn needle and weave through the purple stitches, matching that color, whatever color you're using. Make sure you only go into the top row, because you don't want your purple to show through. I pull it through, and then I skip one strand of yarn, and then I come back through a second time. And then I skip one strand and I come back through a couple more stitches. So I really like to weave those ends in on the wrong side. Once you do that, then you can go ahead and clip off that extra yarn. So now what we want to do is we want to reinforce the strap so it doesn't stretch out of shape when you have your full bottle of water in your holder. So we're going to drop our hook size down to a size H, and we're going to slip stitch all the way around both sides of the strap. We're going to start here, slip stitch in each row and stitch, come back down this side, and then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So go ahead, grab your smaller hook, size H, grab your purple yarn, and I'll show you how to reinforce your strap. So I have my violet splash attached to my hook. I've been calling it purple. It's violet splash. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the base of the strap, or the beginning of the strap, where the strap meets the top of the holder. We're just going to insert our hook right into that first row end stitch, and we're going to slip stitch through that row end stitch and through the loop on our hook. And don't worry about our ends, you always weave them on the back and you won't see them. And what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch. Make sure you dropped your hook size down to a size H8, and you're going to go into the next row end stitch. You're going to yarn over, pull through that row end stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Insert into the next row end stitch, and if you're not sure, look at your stitches, follow them down, insert at the end of the row, yarn over, pull through that row end stitch, and through the loop on your hook. Go to the next row end stitch, insert into the row end stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. You're going to continue, insert into the next row end stitch, yarn over, pull through that row end stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. You're going to repeat that process around your strap until you get over to the opposite side where it meets the top of the cup holder. So go ahead and continue and work one slip stitch in each row end stitch around until you get to the edge of the last row, and I'll meet you there. So I just slip stitched around my strap. I just worked in the last row end stitch. Now if you want to add additional strength from the strap to the top of the holder, you can go right in the base of that last row end stitch. Let me get that strap out of the way. And you can insert into that one stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. And it just helps secure that more. So I'm going to fasten off my work, and I like to leave that longer length. I chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook up, grab, pinch, and pull down, and then I weave my end in the back, matching those stitches. Now I want to show you why I do this, because we're working back and forth, and when you make a strap, it's going to stretch. It's just going to pull that. So if you look here, we're going in the opposite direction. So when you pull that, you can see it has a lot of resistance. It doesn't want to stretch. But if you pull the bottom where we didn't slip stitch yet, you can see how that really stretches. So the top, resistant, the bottom, it stretches. And this is just a nice way to really reinforce the strap so it doesn't really stretch out of shape. So now what you're going to do is you're going to turn your work you're just going to flip your work over and you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to join in the first row end stitch and then slip stitch in each row end stitch around, and I'll meet you when I get my other side of my strap reinforced. So if you need additional help, just click back on the video and repeat what we did to this side around the opposite side of the strap. So now we're ready to make our little daisy for our water bottle cover. So I already have my yellow attached to my hook and I just used a double knot. And we're using the size H8 or 5mm crochet hook. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. For round 1, we're going to work 8 single crochet into the second chain from hook. You're going to skip that beginning chain 1, insert into the second chain from hook, work a single crochet. That is 1. We need to make 7 more into that same chain. Insert into that same chain, work your second single crochet. And usually when you're working this way, that chain will open up and you can get all 8 stitches in that same chain. Insert back into that same chain, work a single crochet. And sometimes when you're working with stuff this little, it's really hard to grab a hold of it. So that's 3. Go ahead and continue and work 5 more single crochet into that same chain, and I'll meet you at the end of round 1. I'm over at the end of round 1. I worked 8 single crochet into the second chain from hook. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we're going to join in the top of that beginning single crochet, insert under the top 2 loops, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with my yellow, so I'm going to fasten off. And again, it's always better to have that longer length, and you can always trim it. I chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, and pull down. So now we're going to start our petals for our little daisy. So grab your white and we'll begin round 2. I have my white attached to my hook, and now we're going to make our petals. So I'm just going to go back to where I fastened off, and I'm just going to insert my hook into that joining stitch. So you can either go in these top 2 loops or you can go underneath the knot like I do. I'm just going to go underneath that knot. I'm going to yarn over, pull through that stitch, and it might be tight, and through the loop on my hook. And then I'm just going to make sure my ends are in the back. Just grab a hold of this and pull it back. And now we're ready to begin making our petals. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You're going to bring your hook back down to the front of your work, and you're going to slip stitch back into that very first stitch. Yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. And we're going to do that 2 times in each stitch around. You're going to chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring your hook back around to the front of your work, and you're going to insert into that very same stitch. Insert into that stitch, yarn over, pull back through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. And you can see how we're forming our little daisy petals. So now we're going to begin our repeat. We're going to go to our very next stitch, insert under the top 2 loops, and slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. You're going to chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring your hook back around to the front of your work. You're going to insert into that same stitch where you just slip stitched, and you're going to slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So that is 1 of 2. So now we're going to do it again in the same stitch. You're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring your hook around to the front of your work, insert back into that same stitch, and slip stitch. And that is the end of your repeat. So let's do it one more time together. You're going to go to the very next stitch, insert under the top 2 loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. You're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring your hook around to the front of your work, insert back into that same stitch, and slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So that is 1 of 2, and we're doing it 2 times in each stitch. So now we're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bring your hook back around to that very same stitch, insert into that stitch, and slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue. You're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 8, and then slip stitch back into that same stitch. Then you're going to chain 8 and slip stitch back into the same stitch. You're doing that 2 times in each stitch around. If you need additional help, just click back on the video. I'll meet you at the end of round 2. I'm over at the end of round 2 of our little daisy, and you should have a total of 16 chain 8 loops around, forming your petals. So once you do your last petal, you just want to come over where you started in that first stitch, insert into that first stitch, and you're going to slip stitch into that same stitch as the beginning slip stitch. And then you want to fasten off, leaving a long sewing length so you can sew your daisy to your bottle holder. So I'm just going to fasten off. Again, I chain 2. 1, 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, and pull down. And then we'll use this length to sew this to our bottle holder. So now I'm going to weave in my ends, and then we're going to make 2 leaves for each side of our little daisy. So now we're ready to begin our leaf that goes behind our daisy. So I have my green attached to my hook, and I'm using the smaller hook, the size H8 or 5 millimeter. We're going to begin, and we're going to chain 7. Yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook. That creates your first chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to skip the first chain, and we're going to slip stitch into the second chain. So when you make this slip stitch, make sure you make it loose, because you're going to have to slip stitch back in it when we work around. You're going to insert into the second chain from hook, and make sure this is loose. Make sure it's a nice loose loop right here. Yarn over, pull through that chain, and then pull through the loop on your hook. You're going to single crochet into the next chain, insert into the chain, yarn over, pull through that chain. You have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. We're going to half double crochet into the next chain, yarn over, insert into the next chain, yarn over, and pull through. You have 3 loops, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. You're going to double crochet into the next chain, yarn over, insert into the next chain, yarn over, and pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. You just made a double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain. So now we're over at our last chain, and we're going to work 7 double crochet into that last chain. yarn over, insert into the last chain, and work 7 double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and as you work them, you're going to just be moving around to the other side of your chain. That's 5, 6, and 7. So now we're going to work down the opposite side of our chain, and with your starting length that you have when you joined your yarn, you can just hold it right up against your work. You can work through the chain and right over top of this to weave that in as you're crocheting. You're going to double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next chain, and if you're not sure where the chain is, just follow the stitch down to the base, insert into the base of the stitch, and work your half double crochet. You're going to single crochet into the next chain, and then you're going to slip stitch into the next chain. And then you want to join with the slip stitch under the top 2 loops of that beginning slip stitch. Insert underneath the top 2 loops, and you're going to yarn over, pull through that beginning slip stitch, and then through the loop on your hook. So now I'm going to fasten off, but we want to make sure that we leave a sewing length. Now usually I chain 2 and I knot my work, but because the knot would be at the end and tip of my leaf, I'm not going to chain 2. So I'm just going to make sure I have a long sewing length, and then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through 1 time and then pull my yarn out. And then you just want to tighten this up. So our leaf is finished, so now you need to make 1 more leaf, so click back on the video, repeat what we've done, and make your second leaf. And then I'll be back and I'll show you how to attach your leaf and your flower to your bottle holder. To attach our flower and our leaf to our water bottle, you just want to take your flower and kind of see where you want to put it, right in the center. So it's more helpful if you put the bottle of water in the holder before you decide where to place it. So I'm just going to use my finger. I'm going to lay this down, you can see it better. So just make sure your straps are on both sides. It's easier if you put the bottle of water in it so you know it's right in the right place. So I'm going to place this about halfway between the bottom and the top, right between that white line. So right here. And then I just want to stick my green leaves underneath. And I want to try to just lay it out before I do anything else. And then I just put my leaf under here. So I'm just going to try to do this. It's kind of hard to do this in film. So that's about where I want it. So then I'm going to take my flower off, and my other leaf fell off, but I have my finger on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a straight pin, and I'm just going to stick a pin right down through the leaf and the bottle holder and put that in place. And that's really all you need, because what you're going to do is you're going to sew your leaf on. You're going to take the next leaf and butt it right up against the first leaf. So hopefully you can see that. Butt them right up together. You're going to sew both leaves on. Once your leaves are sewed on, then you're just going to place your daisy right the center of the daisy, right in the center of those 2 leaves, and then you're going to sew your daisy on. So I'm going to take that off. So I'm going to leave my pin in there, and I'm also going to leave the bottle of water because you don't want to go through the top and into the bottom, because then you'll sew the front to the back. So I'm just going to take the end of my yarn here, my sewing length, weave it through the end of my needle. And you can use whichever method you prefer to sew. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to start at the point my leaf together. So the first thing you want to do is go down through, and then this pulls this tip down. So what you want to do is you want to take your needle and just come right straight down from the point. You want to go from the top to the bottom down through, and then what I do is I come up through the center of the stitch, right on the edge of the stitch. Hopefully you can see this. And then I want to come up through the center of the stitch. Sorry, my dog's out there barking when my husband is home. Every time he goes outside, the dog starts barking. Then I bring my hook down through the next stitch, take it down through the bottle cover, the purple stitches, and then grab a couple stitches, and then you want to come back up through the center of the next stitch. And this is just how I do it. Again, you can do it whichever way you prefer. And I'm keeping my pin in my leaf just to hold this leaf in place. And then when I do the next leaf, I'll pin that just to keep it where I want it. And then once you come up through that stitch, you want to go down through the next stitch, grab a couple stitches of the purple, and then you want to come up through the next stitch. And I just come up through the center of those strands. Then you're going to go down through the next stitch, grab a couple stitches, and then come up through the next stitch. And now I am caught on my pin. So go ahead and continue sewing your leaf on. When I get back to the front, I'll show you how to fasten off. So I worked around my leaf, it's attached. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my needle right down through that point of the stitch, and I'm going to run my needle all the way back to the back of the leaf. And then I'm just going to pull it up back at the end of my leaf. And you don't want to pull this too tight. You don't want to pull this so tight that it pulls it and gathers it. So then when I get back here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down under and then bring it back up, because this is going to be covered up. So you're not going to see this. The daisy will be over it. You want to pull it through until you have a loop. And then I like to take my needle through the loop and pull. And that helps knot it. And then I come over, I grab a couple stitches in the purple, pull it back up through another one, pull it until I have a loop, and then I pull it through the loop. But I do that 2 times. I just like to make sure it's nice and secure. And then what I do is I bring my needle underneath these stitches, and then I come over to this row of stitches here, and I just stick my hook in through those stitches to really secure that end. And you can just bring it right through the stitches, right at the base of the stitches going through. And this just helps secure it even more. And then I just pull it through. And then what you want to do is very carefully cut your end. Make sure you don't go into the top of those stitches. And that is how I attach my leaf. Now, if you have a different method of attaching your leaf, then by all means use whichever method you prefer. So now what you want to do is you're going to take your second leaf and you're going to butt it right up against the first leaf. And again, you want to butt them right up against each other. And then you're going to do exactly what I done on the other side. Go ahead and sew your leaf around, and I'll be back when I get my second leaf attached. So once you get your 2 leaves attached, we're going to take our flower, insert the end of the sewing length into your yarn needle. And then you just want to go on the outside of the yellow, because you want your petals to come out and look like a flower petal sticking out. So I just make sure that my daisy is right in the center. You can hold your finger on there until you get a couple stitches. Make sure that the leaf is sticking out about evenly on both sides. And then you just want to take your yarn needle and whip stitch your daisy together. So I just go in above the stitch right at the yellow center. You're going to see a little edge right here, and then I'm just going down through those stitches. Make sure that you're grabbing the purple stitches underneath and then coming up through. And then I'm just going to do that all the way around. Just go over a little bit, go down, make sure you're grabbing those purple stitches of the cover, and then just bring it right back up through, right at the edge of the yellow. And this just allows your petals to stick out. And you want to be at the base of the petals, so you have about 1/8 of an inch right here. That's where I'm sewing, right at the base of the petals, going down through, making sure that I grab those purple stitches, and then back up through right on the edge of the yellow. And you may have to just pull your leaves out of the way when you do that. And then just tug. I'll do it one more time. I'm just going to go down through right at the base of the petal, grab a few of those purple stitches, and then come back up right on the edge of the yellow. And just keep moving your yarn over to where you're pulling it up, or you're going to pull your petals over. Again, just go over a little bit. Go right at the base of the petal, maybe the first chain at the base of the petal. Go all the way down through the purple, and then come up right on the edge of the yellow. And hopefully my hand wasn't in the way when I'm showing this. Pull that loop forward so you don't pull your petals, and just continue all the way around your daisy. I'm going to sew my daisy on, and then I'll be back and show you the finished water bottle cover. So once you sew all the way around your daisy, you can just flip those petals up, and then what I like to do is just come down through the purple stitches, grab a few of those, grab a strand of white, pull until you have a little bit left, and then I pull through that loop. Hopefully you can see that loop. And then I just pull tight. I try to make a knot, and then I just grab another stitch, pull up through until I have a loop, and then I insert through the loop and I pull again. And then you can just weave through the bottom of those white stitches. Just weave it in and out through those stitches. And then you can pull it tight. And then very carefully clip your yarn off without cutting into your petals. Our daisy crossbody water bottle holder is finished. If you enjoyed this crochet tutorial, please make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here on Creative Grandma's channel. So until next time, stay inspired and happy crocheting. Bye everyone.